Welcome back to Transfer Review, and as you can see, today I'm joined by Doogie Critchley. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, very excited this. It's a important day.
Really
Semi-final day, World Cup day. But before we get started, we've got some transfers, haven't we?
We do indeed. Now, yesterday we all saw the big transfer of CR7 moving to the Serie A for Juventus. But we're not going to talk about him today. No. We're actually going to talk about another Serie A transfer, and it's Angel Di Maria to Napoli. Now, according to Football Italia, Carlo Ancelotti has made an approach to his old club of PSG to sign Angel Di Maria. The 30-year-old has been offered a 3-season contract with a salary of €5 million a year, which is nothing compared to Ronaldo's contract of €50 million a year. And it would actually make him the 6th highest player in the Serie A, and it would be €1.4 million more than Napoli's current top earner, which is Insigne. Now, Di Maria only has 1 year left on his contract to PSG, so it could be available for a quite cheap fee of 35 to 40 million
in today's
euros.
market, that's pretty good.
It's not too bad. I'd take that, especially.
Yeah,
the only one question you've got now is that he's getting older. However, Serie A is a bit more of like I'm not going to say an older man's league. However, a lot of players seem to be going there when they're older and doing well. Higuain, 30 years old and smashing it. Now, Napoli could cover the costs for the player with the sale of Jorginho to Man City. However, I've also heard links to Chelsea as well.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are trying to hijack the deal, which is a bit of a worry for Man City, having it's been talked about for so long, this move, and seems like it's just over the line. And Chelsea come in at the last minute if they appoint Sarri as well. If I was him, I'd still go to Man City, but we'll see. But
however, this bit isn't about Chelsea, it's about Di Maria. And did you know this, dudes? Di Maria, Ancelotti, they've got some past success together.
They do
at
indeed.
Real Madrid.
They do indeed.
They spent the season together in the 2013-14 season, winning the Copa del Rey and the Champions League. Di Maria also made the team of the season for the UCL that year and led the assist charts in La Liga.
Yeah,
so
I think he got something like 22 assists in 57 games that year.
Very impressive.
Quite ridiculous.
So at least we've seen Carlo Ancelotti can get the best out of him, and he could do that again for Napoli. And actually, he's a year younger than Jose Callahan, which is mental.
That's quite surprising, actually.
Because I thought he's still really young, Callahan.
Yeah, no, it's creeping up on you. He's one of those players that's never really become that top elite.
At Real Madrid, when he was younger, he was meant to blast through just because he was so quick and stuff like that.
Well, he's supposed to be the next Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's 31.
31.
Good God. Anyway, yeah, he's probably going to take his place at Napoli there on the right. Now, Doogie, tell me a bit more about Di Maria.
Yeah, well, he may be ageing, but as we saw in the World Cup with that stunning goal against France in the last 16, he's very much still got it, and we think he might still be worth the financial commitment. Last season, he scored 21 goals and assisted 15 in 44 games in all competitions, which is not bad at all. And over the last 3 seasons at PSG, he scored 50 goals, which is more than Gareth Bale and Diego Costa over the same period, which really baffled me, actually. But I suppose Costa had that one fallow year at Chelsea, and Bale's had numerous injury problems, I suppose.
It's also, I guess, League isn't as difficult as the Premier League.
The standard is, depending on La Liga, might be slightly higher.
Still, it's not too bad.
But as those stats suggest, he's slightly transformed into more of a goal scorer than a creator since arriving at PSG. And last season was the first year since 2013 when he scored more goals than provided assists. In Liga in 17-18, he made 2.2 chances a game, which is still pretty impressive. But that's his lowest since leaving Madrid, though that's still above Callahan's 2. But his shot tally of 4 per 90 was his highest ever.
That's like Ronaldo levels.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane's, I think, on about 5.2, so he's not far off that, albeit in League One. As was his rate of 2 inside the box per match, while Callahan takes a total of 1.8 shots total per match. Napoli would definitely seem to be getting an improvement on their output on that right-hand side, which was Callahan's 1.8 was his lowest in 6 years. So while it seems like Di Maria's continuing at least a solid level of performance, Callahan seems to be slightly going downwards. And I think this transfer makes perfect sense. Under Ancelotti in that 13-14 season, it was probably Di Maria's best season of his entire career. He was the man of the match in that Champions League final against Atletico. He was absolutely superb throughout. Ancelotti knows him well, can get the best out of him. And I don't think he's ever quite hit the same heights as that season at Real Madrid.
Well, I think the price-wise is the thing that I think is quite good here. 35 million euros for a player of Di Maria's standard to come in, as you said, he'll have 3 seasons there. It's not too bad. You're not spending too much money on a player that could essentially up, but I don't think it's too bad. Like who they got there on the left, Mertens and Insigne. So it's
going to be a pretty lethal front line. And if this transfer can get them to the next level and above Juventus, because they finished second twice in the last 3 years. Although with Cristiano Ronaldo obviously going to Juventus, it seems like it's going to be wrapped up for another year, we have to say. But yeah, what do you guys think about this transfer? Di Maria to Napoli, does it tick your boxes or is it a bit of a no-go? Let us know in the comments below. We're going to stay in France now for our next story, because also out of PSG this summer seems to be Maria and Rabiot, with Mundo Deportivo reporting that Barcelona are trying to sign him. Look, PSG need to comply with financial fair play this summer. They've already made 60 million euros this summer, with Odson Eduard joining Celtic, Yuri going to Athletic and Pastore joining Roma. But if they want to get those Mbappe and Neymar deals all firmed up with the financial fair play regulations, they're going to need to sell plenty more stars. And this one seems to make a little bit of sense. Rabiot's only got 1 year left on his contract and is refusing to sign a new one. He threw a bit of a fit after being left out of France's World Cup squad and refused to be on the reserve list for Deschamps' team, which I'm sure he's regretting now, considering they've now made the final. A bit of a Micah Richards or Michael Carrick there. It seems like he's very frustrated at PSG. And the fee, due to the contract situation, could be under 35 million euros, which again, a bit like the Di Maria move, wouldn't seem like a bad fee at all. And the link here with Barcelona is that Eric Abidal, Barcelona's new director of football, and he of potentially stolen liver,
very nice guy,
apparently a very nice guy, apparently has very close links to Rabiot's entourage. And France Football and Le Ten Sport claim that he could be instrumental in making this transfer happen. So Barcelona, as they tend to get their ex-players in, really install them into the club and use those links to attract some of the best talent from around Europe.
Yeah, well, Barcelona actually really need some midfield reinforcements, with Iniesta and Paulinho both gone, Gomez and Rafinha are both up for sale, and their new signing of Arthur, the Brazilian, who's just 21, will need a bit of time to get into the squad and get used to the league, especially when he's just played a whole season in Brazil. Now, Rabiot is 23 and already has 200 senior appearances for PSG, as well as 6 international caps. And he already has 16 trophies to his name at such a young age, including 4 titles and 3 domestic trebles. So he knows how to win some titleware. Now, primarily, he's a defensive player. He's making 3.5 tackles and interceptions a game, which is not bad at all. I think anyone would take that. But he's also still managed to grab 1 goal and made 5 assists last season in 33 league appearances. So not too bad at all. And he's kind of got that Busquets style bit where he can dribble out of high pressure by completing 1.5 dribbles a game as well. So Barcelona do
probably a long-term replacement.
Yeah, ideally, because they do need someone to replace him who is arguably one of their key players of the past decade, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%.
He's also
underrated.
6'2", because Barcelona do actually have a height issue. Out of their 25 player list last season, only 8 players are over 6 foot.
Really? Wow. Okay. Speaking of minnows.
I was going to say, the only thing I think here that Barcelona need to be careful with is his behaviour. I think if you're at Barcelona, I think they can stand for this kind of like, especially when you're that young. PK, I think, PK is probably the worst, I think, for it, with his tweets and stuff like that. However,
just got to keep on the right side of the fans and the hierarchy.
The thing is, he is so good, but I feel like in every for his country and his club, he's never been able to be the #1 midfielder, if that makes sense. Verratti was always the higher prospect when he was younger. And also now for France, Pogba,
Kante, pretty solid.
Tolisso, which is sad as well because they're all so young. It's going to be hard for him to get into that midfield and make a place for himself. However, ideally, if he picks up his attitudes, does a good season at Barcelona, he can't really complain. But my only one thing as well, I don't think 35 million euros is enough.
Really?
I think.
Well, you think PSG will drive a harder bargain?
Yeah, he's been looked at before by a few clubs. I just feel for 35 million euros, if Barcelona do that, that's incredible business. I just don't see it happening.
He's also been linked with a few other clubs as well. Napoli, Spurs, Chelsea are all looking at this summer. I think he makes perfect sense for Spurs as a long-time replacement to Dembele, and it'd be a really exciting signing for Spurs. One of those signings that's going to take them up to the next level of potential Premier League winners and going further into the Champions League. But I think he'd surely choose the Blaugrana over his other options. Yeah, I mean, when Barcelona come calling, it's very difficult to say no. And Mundo Deportivo are usually very reliable on Barcelona matters. And French sources also back up this transfer. So it seems like it could well be in the offing. But yeah, do you think good move, bad move?
Good move, good move. I just don't feel like it will happen for that cheap.
Fair.
But what do you guys think? Let us know. down below. We go to the Premier League now for our next one.
It's coming home.
It's the old West Ham. Some Haddies, this summer, they've done some actually really good business, surprisingly.
They have for once.
They've brought in Issa Diop, a very good player, Jack Wilshere, Fabianski and Ryan Frederick already, which I don't think are too bad. I think we'll get into them a bit later. As well as making a €40 million bid for Felipe Anderson, who was very good last season, and a €30 million bid for Bruno Fernandes.
Juicy, very juicy.
You know what? They're good targets, and if they get them, I think a Hammers fan will be very happy. Yeah. Now, they're also going to be facing competition from Monaco and Atletico Madrid for Fernandes. So, if you're Fernandes, I don't think West Ham is the most appealing club with those other two options.
Well,
however, you never know what they can do.
Send them a good contract.
Literally.
He'll be popping down to East London.
Exactly. But they're also close to signing a Dortmund player, Andriy Yarmolenko, according to Sky Sports. Now, Pellegrini has supposedly agreed a €20 million fee for the Ukrainian with Dortmund, and he only joined BVB back in 2017 for €25 million. So Dortmund actually making a loss here.
Accepting a bit of a loss there.
Which is surprising considering I thought, from the games I saw him in, which weren't a lot, especially in that Spurs game in the Champions League, he was one of the better players for Dortmund. He scored that phenomenal goal against Lloris in the top left-hand corner from outside the box. So it's not making too much sense, but you're getting to that in a bit. Now he's 28, so he's experienced and old. And can play on the wing and as a centre forward. And in Ukraine, he contributed to 227 goals in 340 games. So it sounds good, but tell me why it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, the stats sound good, but in reality, last season, he didn't really perform at his best. He contributed just 3 goals and 2 assists in about 1,000 minutes in the league, and he sat out from January to April with a really bad foot injury. But he still profiles as a good wide attacker with nearly 3 shots a game, 2/3 of those from inside the box, makes 2.4 key passes a match, which is the second best in the Dortmund squad after Gonzalo Castro, who of course left this summer. He can be a bit wasteful on the ball though. He failed to complete 28 of his 44 attempted dribbles last season. Although that's what you would expect if you give someone the freedom to dribble, the freedom to try and make something happen. They're going to make mistakes occasionally.
And when they do come off,
Exactly.
It's a risky take.
It's a bit like Raheem Sterling, the criticism that he gets. Of course, he's going to make mistakes when you're in that team to make things happen.
Yeah.
And he turns 29 in October. So with a year, only a year into what hasn't been a fantastic spell so far, it might be a good time for Dortmund to cash in. And if they've got West Ham who are happy to pay that sort of money for him, with that sort of season behind him, although he did sparkle at times, I'd probably take that if I was Dortmund. But West Ham in general, seem to have made some very interesting signings. I mean, Ryan Fredericks was one of the standout players in the Championship last season. Issa Diop was at Toulouse last year. He played fantastically well there. He was in one of our top 10 players to watch for the upcoming season.
Well, he was in the Toulouse side, which, although they didn't actually perform that great themselves, he was the standout player. And it's interesting because they've got Fabianski, who's a proven goalkeeper in the Premier League. He's kept Swansea up for the past 3 years alone, basically.
Although not last year. But
although, unfortunately, not last year. And that's how he's got the transfer this time. So he's done well to stay in the Premier League, and I think he's a lot better than Joe Hart. Adrian, I didn't think Adrian was too bad, but he's better than Adrian as well.
I think I saw that Fabianski had the 3rd best shots to save ratio in the league last year.
Well, there you go.
He also faced a lot of shots.
Indeed, he did with that. Well, that's another thing, because I think the defence is an improvement here. Issa Diop is going to do really well. He's very young, and they can partner with Declan Rice, who I think actually was one of West Ham's better players last season.
And Winston Reid, when he comes back from injury, will be there. Aaron Cresswell on the left, Ryan Fredericks on the right. It suddenly looks like a top 10 back four.
100%.
And, with Pellegrini in charge, I think it's quite an exciting.
Well, I think Jack Wilshere as well. Jack Wilshere's an interesting one because on his day, he was really good. And this was a boy who, when he was younger, was being touted to join Barcelona and stuff like this. Unfortunately, Jack Wilshere's biggest problem has been his injuries. That's been his biggest problem. And when he was on loan at Bournemouth,
he didn't really deliver there either. But if he can stay fit for more than 10 games in a row, then I think he's a fantastic player. But it is now his time to deliver.
100%. And as for the other targets of Felipe Anderson, as we've said before, he's a very good player. I think he completed one of the. Was he the best dribbling rate in Serie A? I think the best dribbling rate in Serie A. Chances created was right up there as well. It's not a bad player to get. So I actually think Hammers fans, even if they get Yarmolenko in, and that there was no more, I think they'd be very happy with that transfer business. If they get Anderson in, they'll be even more happier. And then if they get Fernandes in,
and they do need some creative talent and some goal scorers in there. Because Lanzini's out for the season, which is a massive blow. He's been West Ham's best player for the last 4 or 5 years. And Arnautovic is a serious injury as well. I tell you what transfer I read a few days ago about West Ham. What's that?
Payet to return.
Payet to return. No
if they
chance.
got that, it would be a phenomenal season. But West Ham fans and football fans in general, what do you think of West Ham? Will they do what the brothers said, which I'll bleep that, and get Champions League football? Or will they just have an alright season? Or get relegated? Poll it.
Poll.
Let us know.
Now it's time for our transfer shocker. No, that's what the effect does.
That's very good.
That's going in. That's going in.
Now it's time for our transfer shocker, and it's Paulinho going back to Guangzhou Evergrande. Barcelona have confirmed that Paulinho is rejoining Chinese club Guangzhou on an initial one-season loan deal. He only arrived at Barcelona last summer in a €40 million move. And at the time, I remember the office was fit.
We were shocked. It's like, what are Barcelona doing?
We thought they'd lost their minds. But then actually, he played fairly well. He won a league in Copa del Rey in his single season. And he made 49 appearances, which is far more than we ever imagined, and scored 9 goals in the process. And it's thought that basically this departure of Paulinho paves the way for the arrival of Gremio midfielder Arthur, which has still not actually been confirmed yet. It's just waiting to go through. I think the paperwork is the final thing. With a non-EU spot now free in the squad. So Paulinho, obviously Brazilian, Arthur Brazilian. Out goes one Brazilian, in comes the other. The agreement taking him back to China, though, contains an option to make the move permanent for a reported €50 million. And Zach, you know, what are you making of this deal? It does seem slightly strange.
It's just a mess. Like, as we said, I think he's gone on loan for now, but he's basically gone. So 50 million will happen, and with the way the Chinese league works, they've got a 100% tax, so they'll actually pay €100 million for Paulinho.
Wow.
For a 30-year-old, which is just stupid.
Something doesn't quite add up.
It doesn't at all, because
Something fishy going on around here.
now, Paulinho's original move to Barcelona was actually seen by some as an attempt by Barca president Bartomeu to carry favour for the Evergrande Group, which are a property development company who own Guangzhou, and which actually does business with the president's company, Adelte. Now, it doesn't really help Barca's image of, being shady, does it?
Shadiness,
And unless someone's really got a good idea why they want to sign a 30-year-old player for 100 million, euros, it's kind of weird. I think, as we said, he's had a good season in Barcelona, and because of that season, I actually think that's why he's got into the Brazil squad. I don't really think he was that great at the World Cup.
It's just a weird Barcelona. Image, I mean, if you can make this amount of money and get rid of Paulinho and bring in 21-year-old Arthur, who's been the best player in Brazilian league for, I think, 2 years at Grêmio, it's an impressive bit of business from them. I just don't understand enough about the Chinese football and the inner workings of Guangzhou Evergrande.
The thing was, when the CSL first started, everyone was so shocked on how they were buying it. Like Hulk left, Oscar left, and that's why they introduced a 100% tax. And since then, less players have decided to move now because obviously it costs them so much. And now I actually think Chinese clubs have a rule, or it's actually they have to have a certain amount of Chinese players in the starting 11.
Yeah.
So obviously now they've got to make their money worth it on who they're buying. So I just feel if you're going to be getting a player and you're going to be spending that much money on him, why are you doing it with Paulinho if you're trying to make the Chinese league so attractive? I just think it's a bit of a silly move on China's part. I think Barca, happy days.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting 50 millions. But what do you guys think? Is it good? Are Barca corrupt?
/ is Japan about to overtake China as the new hotbed of aging talent? I
Boom.
mean, Torres, Iniesta. Let us know, what do you guys think about the rise of Japan? What are Guangzhou Evergrande doing here? What are Barcelona thinking? Is it all a bit in the back pocket? Let us know in the comments below.
So that's the end of Transfer Review for another week. What do you think of the transfers, and have we missed any out? Let us know on Twitter. The handles are right there. Now, by the time this video goes out, England could be in a World Cup final. So make sure you're hitting us up on Instagram. See those little segues to see how we're reacting.
True.
The Football Daily Insta, our personal Instagrams. We're going to be going mental either way.
We'll either be celebrating drunk in a gutter or, in mourning drunk in a gutter. So you won't see these faces again for a while.
But Diggy, what should I do now then, my friend?
Why don't you go check out yesterday's transfer talk? I'm afraid you have to listen to this voice once again. I gave a bit more detail on Di Maria to Napoli, a bit of detail about Cristiano Ronaldo. Liverpool are in for a player, Man United are in for a player. Ooh. Go check it out. And Zach, what are you pushing to?
Why not check out Educating Jalab on Football Mundial?
Yes.
Give it a watch. I don't know where I'm going next though, so if you've got any suggestions, leave that in the comments as well. As for that, have a good weekend.
Cheers, guys.
All week. Bye.